I think the heat stress, I think it's soft. I think it's too low.
This Englishman pretending like he could last out there for more than 95 seconds.
That's all we need to hear, but that's what I feel.
You're just as ginger as freaking Yannick Sinner, who like melted within 3 minutes of the heat index going over 3.
Welcome to Melbourne, welcome to the Big T podcast. We're still here, the big seeds are still here for the first time ever in the Open era. The top 6 seeds in the men's and the women's draw made it through to the quarterfinals, and unbelievably, somehow Andrea Petkovic is still here. And we're going to get joined by another German, Angelique Kerber, coming, the champion from 2016.
Yes, hi, welcome to Melbourne. I'm still here. Despite me faltering in the heat courtside for the Sabalenka-Iva Jovic match, quicker than Yannick Sinner faltered once the heat index hit a 3.
Yeah, Sabalenka's obviously been here, won here before. It was always going to be a tough task for Iva out there, but just, you were courtside, just take me through what you saw.
It was really a phenomenal performance. So I was so impressed with her already against Victoria Mboko, because as you know, Mark, sometimes these favorites, they don't like playing young, up-and-coming talents because it is daunting, right? They are so good, they have nothing to lose, they play oftentimes their best tennis against the champions, but Arena just doubled down and played better. Already against Victoria Mboko, it was the best tennis she's played all tournament, and today she was able to lift her level even higher than she already did against Victoria Mboko. It was all in all very impressive. I will say though that Iva Jovic just lacks a little bit of firepower to withstand the types of players in Arena Sabalenka. I was looking at the opponents she's had in the last 2 rounds. There was Putintseva and Jasmine Paolini, who are both very tricky opponents, not very powerful opponents. And I do think that could be seen today. Thankfully, she's 18 years old. She only has like 25 more years to become stronger, grow into her body, learn all that. And I will say she's one of the better minds I have seen in the last 25 years that I have watched tennis. She was never panicked today. She got a little frustrated, but dialed right back in the moment she did get frustrated. And it was really great to see such a young player be so mature and such a good competitor. Both women really impressed me in a 7 million degree heat. I know you don't care about the heat.
I don't care about the heat. I don't care. We are going to circle back to it. Let's talk about the heat because you just brought it up. I understand that there should be a heat stress rule. I'm not against the heat stress rule. I do think that it is a little soft. I think it's a little low. I think the roof gets shut, the kind of the timeout between second and third set just comes in, for me personally, a little bit early. I do love the physical conditioning of this sport being a massive aspect of it. If you go into Suicide Month in August in the heat of South Florida and you are willing to push yourself through that, I do think you should get some upside. And, you know, I know going back in eras is never a great thing, but, you know, back in the day when it was 40 degrees, which it is here today, over 100 degrees, but we would play 60, 90% humidity. And yes, you would cramp, but nobody has kind of gone to a really critical stage.
Right.
And I just feel like if you have worked that hard, you don't necessarily get the benefit. Am I too harsh? Am I medieval?
So first of all, it's harsh coming from a ginger Englishman, Mark, such as you are.
But isn't that the point, that if I think it's too soft, actually, it has to be too soft?
No, if you flip it that way, it is true, but I don't think you could
this
last
isn't ginger, it's blonde.
I don't think you could last 2 minutes out there. I do think that we don't need to push it. If we have the roofs, if we have invested so much money into our sport, we don't need to push for a player to get into serial health conditions before we change the rules. So why not take care? And I will say, in England, just to bring up your homeland, last year in Wimbledon, it was unusually hot, and the audience members were falling like flies. I do think we also have to take care of the audience. I mean, honestly, and it wasn't nearly as hot as it is here. So we have to also take care of the audience members, some of them who are sitting in the glistening sun, maybe don't have that much protection with them. The Australians do, but not necessarily the tourists. So why, if we have And I will say, a couple of days ago, I agree with you 100%. As long as we have singles matches going out on the outside courts where there is no roof, it's unfair if we close the roofs on the big courts and make the others play outside. But if the singles matches are all on courts with a roof, just close it. Why do we need to go there?
I think it's a great talking point. We're going to talk about it at the other majors coming up. There's no doubt. I do want to circle back to Eva. Having looked at some of her press conference quotes and past interviews, you talked about how good her mind is. I mean, she went up to Novak apparently and said, I have these notes. I want to ask him about how he deals with a loss, his kind of meditation, his breathing techniques. I mean, what 18-year-old? But she said he seems to have found, which I love this quote, the golden middle. What I mean, I couldn't even come up with that now. I am just plagiarizing her. I'm going to use it everywhere. I found the golden middle in my life. I mean,
no, she's amazing. She's amazing. And you can see it on the court. It's not only, it's easy to talk, but it's not all talk and nothing behind it. You could see it on court, what a strong mind she is. And I called her match against Jasmine Paolini at the Australian Open, and I watched her match here against Jasmine Paolini. It was 3 or 4 months in between, and it was like a junior became a woman already, and she's still 18 years old. That's how quickly she progressed in those 3-4 months. She got a lot stronger in her upper body. All of a sudden, she was able to take those balls on the rise that Paolini likes to rotate on the forehand side that sort of jumped out of her strike zone at the US Open. Here, it didn't anymore. She took them on the rise. She had the upper body strength to push them down. So she already progressed so much. And you know what I love about her? She recognizes, and this is what is I worked with young players in Germany. I know how they think. All of them are fantastic ball strikers because that's all they do, right? They want to hit the ball 16 hours a day. They don't want to go to the gym. They don't want to stretch. They don't want to do anything, but they want to hit the ball 1,000,000 times a day. And so all of them are great ball strikers. What you have to teach them is to recognize the short ball, go up to the short ball quickly and take it on the rise and take time away from your opponent in 2 ways. By positioning and also by pace. And Eva has that down to a T without, I think, having to learn it at 18 years old. She recognizes short balls and she goes up to them, and that's how she takes time away from her opponent. I see a bright, bright future for her. I do wonder in the forehand cross-court rallies with Aryna Sabalenka, you could see that there was a huge difference still in heaviness and power and pace, and Eva just couldn't withstand that. The question will be, will she grow into her body enough within the next 2-3 years to be able to play with these powerful women that we have on the tour right now dominating the sport?
And is that physicality? Because it's definitely not mentality. After she lost Paolini at the US Open, as you talked about, she went back out and practiced. It was 10 o'clock at night.
Yes, exactly.
As a teenager, that is pretty impressive. You lose to Paolini, most teenagers are going, well, it was nice to be on the court.
Yeah, and I played because she played a good match. It wasn't a bad match.
So is it going to be physicality over technique for something? Because it's definitely not going to be about hard work. She's willing to do the hard yards.
Yeah, for me, it's just, sometimes it's unfair because sometimes players just... some are 6 feet tall and others are not, and Eva is not that tall. And so today when Aryna was able to really hit that forehand with a lot of, and she has a heavy ball. I played Aryna a few times. It's not only that she plays fast, but when you're on the ball continues to rotate in your strings. So if you're not with your body weight behind the ball, it will push you back no matter how you think you have it in your racket. And so the question will be, will Eva become strong enough to withstand that despite her not being so tall? Obviously, she might still grow a few centimeters, but she probably won't grow another 5-6 inches, right? And that's the only question. And there are players that can balance that out. We will get Angie Kerber as a guest. Angie Kerber was not that tall, and she beautifully did it by taking the balls on the rise, and that's what Eva is able to do as well. But those are just questions that you have to see how they progress over the next few years when she, really becomes a woman and grows into her body.
And that's a lovely segue to the guy that's out there right now, Tien, who's also been creating massive headlines back home in the USA. Did it here last year with his fantastic win against Medvedev. Did it again in carving Medvedev up. And I looked at couple of the numbers. We talk a lot about in tennis, obviously this strength and conditioning. What does that mean? Well, in pure numbers for Lerner, there's been a couple of things. One, the serve.
Yeah.
He's been working very hard, obviously, with Michael Chang and his coaches.
How much is it higher
It's not
now?
so much. It's quicker. I mean,
Okay.
it's up 9 Ks, which is a lot.
That's
I mean,
good,
that's
yeah.
over 5 miles an hour or 6 miles an hour for other people. In terms of unreturned numbers, he's also up 9%.
Yeah.
So that's 9% less effort that you have to put into a tennis match,
Yes.
which is absolutely huge. But I thought the most pertinent kind of numbers for Lerner when you talk about Eva and her progression over the next 12, 24, 36 months was in his serving numbers in terms of how he dipped, because physically as a teenager, he's now 20, isn't quite strong enough. Last year, his numbers were 179 Ks first set against Medvedev, 177, 175, 170, 166. This year, as he's been going through matches, 186, 184, 183, 182, 184.
So it's better, but
Consistent.
Yeah.
I mean, like sitting it for somebody like Lerner, and again, we need to kind of dampen our expectations about what is possible for all of these people. You said it beautifully about Jovic. She's not going to be the tallest. She's not going to be a Sabalenka. So therefore, the cross-court exchange isn't going to be something that she's going to want to sit in for too long. She's want to be able to move line as quickly as she can, hold the baseline.
Yeah.
That's going to be her UPS. For somebody like Lerner, sitting at those numbers consistently for endurance, he can wear people out.
Yeah.
That's where the strength and conditioning will play a major part for Eva, as it has done for Lerner, who has been amazing to watch, hasn't he? I mean, there is a place still in the power game for somebody like Lerner, Tien.
And that's what I love about tennis. It is, of course, we think of tennis players as a sort of Marat Safin, right? The ideal
Who I
tennis
had breakfast
player.
next to the other day.
Oh, really?
He's staying in my hotel. Yeah.
Nice, and you were in the gym.
Yeah.
So by the way,
I just don't want to name drop. It's always you usually.
Well, I never officially met Marat. I always played with his sister. So yesterday we were doing this media hour together. So I walked up to him. I was like, "Hey, we never met. I'm Andrea," and he said, "Marat," and then I shook his hand. He said, "Oh, strong handshake." I've been thinking about it 5 times an hour, by the way. I was like, oh, strong handshake. Okay, that's my Marat Safin story. But what I wanted to say is this is the beauty about tennis. You don't need to look like Marat Safin to become the world #1 or to win Grand Slams or whatever your goals is. But you need to work with what you have. Exactly as you said, if you are the body type of a Lerner Tien or an Iva Jovic, you have to find other ways. And that is so beautiful, because if you want to be a striker in football, in soccer, it's really tough for you to be small. Lionel Messi did it, kind of, but he was never a real striker. He was more of a forward attacker. So, that's why tennis is the best sport in the world, is what I wanted to say. But I think we might have called that match together. I called Lerner Tien's match when he beat Alexander Zverev in Acapulco, and I had never watched a match where a player, didn't make a single wrong decision. That was incredible. No matter how high your tennis IQ is, you will, in the heat of the moment, make a stupid decision here and there. He did not. Every single ball was perfect. Every single shot made complete sense. And I heard Michael Chang say that he can talk to Lerner Tien, no offense to his former players, but he said that he can talk to Lerner Tien on a level that he's never talked to other players before, because he understands it and he can execute it. And I think that's really beautiful. But you called one of his matches, right? What did you see that has improved compared to last year?
So obviously we were going to do this podcast because I was trying to up my game here a little bit to kind of match your IQ levels. So I was thinking, how could I describe Lerner in a way that kind of is a lot more interesting than we usually do about tennis IQ? My wife's not going to love this segment of the podcast. She did enjoy the last podcast. She said I jumped in a bit too much, so I'm trying to sit back here just in case you've noticed, and let you finish your more important thoughts. But she doesn't love relating tennis to chess. It's not her first place to go. But I do want to, when I think about Lerner, this is there's 4 different styles of chess players. There's the activists, there's the reflectors, there's the pragmatists, and there's the theorists. And they all come with different skill sets. Obviously, the activist is obvious. You're on attack.
Yeah.
You're trying to take other people's pieces off the board. The reflectors are trying to restrict the opponent's moves. They're trying to put the pieces in a place where you kind of get stunted, and it's a bit. That's the way learner moves the ball around. Theorists understand the game systematically. The pragmatists rely on calculations. If I do A, this is going to be the outcome B. Very few players that have ever played the game of tennis have all four of these skill sets. They may have three, some only have one. It is 1D, I'm coming at you, or it is 1D, I am defending. But he, for me, and I may be bigging him up too much here, I feel like he's got all four of those characteristics in the way that he plays tennis. Started this segment talking about the fact that the 6 men's and women's seeds have made it through to the quarterfinals of a major for the very first time. It feels in general that it's a slightly flatter tour because of all the money that's been pumped in at the majors and the qualifying in particular. We've obviously had significant prize money increases on the tours on top of the majors, and yet here we are, the elite, sitting above everybody else again. Why?
Now, I don't want to toot my own horn, but I have a newsletter that is fantastic. Please subscribe, Andrea Petkovic on Substack. And I actually called that all the favorites will make it into the second week.
Why?
There has been a separation between the best in the world and the other really, really good players that are just not as good as the others. And honestly, Mark, I don't think they do anything wrong, the others. I just think everything has professionalized itself so much. Everyone is doing the right things. There is so much more information out there. When I came on tour, I didn't know what I was eating. I didn't know anything about meditation. I started to figure it out while I was on tour. Now, all the information is out there. Even if you don't have the funds, which now most of the players do because of the prize money increase that you talked about. Even if you don't have the funds, you can go on ChatGPT, you can go on Google, you can Google meditation, you can find things out about nutrition and meditation and so on and so forth. And I do think that now what really shows is the talent gap. Some players are just a little bit better than others. And I know that hurts to say.
That's a harsh thing. That's a harsh thing for some people to kind of accept.
It was a harsh thing for me to accept. I was a very good player. I was number 9 in the world, but I could feel that against the best, I was just not as good. And it was difficult for me. And I still won against top 10, you know. I still had my chances when they weren't at 100%. But I also knew, and that is tough to accept as a player, I also knew if I play at my 100%, and Serena or Angie or Pliskova plays at their 100%, it's going to be tough for me. They are just a little bit better. And I don't know if that's, I kind of don't want to believe in that theory, but I think that's something that I believe because I've been in the position to be a very good player, but not really have the talent of an Angie Kerber who I grew up with. So it was very easy for me to compare myself to her. And maybe I just destroyed all dreams and all souls out there of potential tennis players. Or what do you think? Why do you think?
No, I agree. I mean,
the cream rises to the top.
I actually had a wild sort of 3-3 versus the top 10, 3 wins, 3 losses. So I stopped on that. But you're right. But the problem is when you have those wins, in some respects, it exceeds your own talent. And there are reasons why. I think probably my best performance ever was in LA against Michael Chang.
Yeah.
I think if I was honest, I played well. But he didn't play well.
Right.
There is no question. But it was my best performance. I played Michael Stich in Sun City, beat him 6 in the third. He'd just come off 6 hours on a clay court in Germany in a Davis Cup, 5th rubber. And then he'd flown overnight. We got a plane from Jovic to Sun City together because I'd been in Portugal, but I'd played like 1 hour.
Yeah.
And so he was fatigued. Beresategi I beat in Mexico. It was 6,000 million feet, and he wanted as much time. But the problem is it sets your bar personally so high that when you don't meet up to it, and I think this was, if I had one massive regret from it kind of took me into a very dark hole. I was very kind of like masochistic about myself.
When you lost to lower ranked players.
100%. I was like, well, it's obviously on me. I'm obviously not trying hard enough. I'm not eating correctly. I'm not putting the hours in. I'm not doing this. I'm not doing that.
Really interesting.
And it had a massive like negative pull on my performances for a long time that I wasn't good enough to get out of quickly enough. I couldn't get out of my own way. I was my worst enemy in those moments. I was like, well, if you can beat those guys and you can, you know, have a 3-0 record against Rafter, you're pathetic. When you lose to this guy who's 150 in the world, what are you doing?
Do you think it would have changed something if you had known of, let's say, a talent gap, quote unquote, or if you had accepted maybe I'm not as good as Rafter, but if I get a good day, I will beat him, and I have the right strategy that if I can make him feel uncomfortable and maybe not play it as best?
Yes, there's no question. So? When I look back at my stats against Chang in LA, and my first serve percentage was probably one of the lowest it's ever been, but I'd won 80% plus points. And I was like, maybe I was just too conservative with my first serve, and really I should have been digging into all of this stuff and figuring out that actually if I cracked my first serve and got some free points, my second was decent, and I should have played more in that style. But there was a talent gap. I mean, I got smoked by Boris at Wimbledon. I got smoked by Stefan in Long Island, and every single practice session I had. And I was trying, and I could have done better by being kinder to myself. But that's so counterintuitive. You've got to beat yourself up. You've got to punish yourself. We're not good at being.
Well, you are English. So
you've got to put yourself through some medieval torture trying to drop you in the hole, put you on the rack, come out the other side, and
otherwise you haven't done it well.
Yeah, and I do think there was a part of me that I kind of wish maybe I had got a better information about a better first serve. I think hopefully that's made me a better coach because I feel like that was a technical issue, not necessarily a hard work issue, that I could have maybe done better in that department. But yeah, I think for a lot of players out there, when I talk, you know, it's like you don't feel like you need to go there to get better. You don't need to go into the wilderness in your mind. You know.
It's not going to make you better if you go to the darkness. And I will give you a perfect example for this. I think Alexander Zverev, the reason he's playing so well and the reason he has at 28 years old changed things and incorporated more elements in his game is because Jannik Sinner and Carlos Alcaraz being so clearly ahead of the crop of tennis players right now that ironically it took pressure off of him. I think he has accepted in his mind, okay, Jannik and Carlos are better, but if I have a good day, I know how to play them and I might get a win in. And I think that's taken off some pressure for him to try new things. He's not beating himself. He seems very much more relaxed than he has all season long last year. And I do think that he has accepted that you maybe hadn't. I accepted it at the very end, but I was already physically so diminished as a player that it didn't really help me anymore at that time. So I don't know. It's a difficult thing. It's a difficult thing to, you know, tennis players, the reason they are tennis players, the reason they picked an individual sport is because they have huge egos, you know. They like themselves. They are selfish people. It's true.
Yeah.
I can say that about myself, and I'm not ashamed. That's who we are. That's why we picked this sport. We want to be alone on stage, and we want nobody else to take that limelight away from us. And so for these type of personalities to accept, I might not be as good as Arina Sabalenka or Iga Swiatek, it's not easy. They are just not made for it, if you think about it. But maybe it would help them to be the best they can be with the talent they have.
I couldn't agree you more. That is the goal, just to be the best that you can be in everything. I will tell you, when you talk about the talent gap, you talk about how the greats sort of speak. The one thing that I learned when I was with Andy was that I was going to learn from him was pretty quickly. He played a semi-final match against Paradorn Shishapan in Thailand, in Bangkok. He was going to play potentially Federer in the final, which obviously he wanted to do. That would have been his first meeting with Roger. So there was a lot on the line. There was a lot on the line for Paradorn playing at home. It was a set to Paradorn. It was set point, second set. Paradorn comes in on this, what I considered was a great approach shot out wide. Andy's running on the dead run across the court on his two-hander, a shot that will go down as a trademark, will go into the Hall of Fame as his shot. He just pegs one down the line, down the pipe, puts it on a postage stamp past Paradorn, who's like covered the line, wins the set. I'm out of the chair. He ends up winning the third set. We're having dinner that night in Bangkok and just chatting, and then I go, oh, I said, I've got to say, I said, you remember the set point in the second set? I said, that's got to be one of the best shots I've literally ever seen on a big point that you've played. And he'd save match points in a challenger in Binghamton. I was like, I said, I never thought you could, I just didn't think the room was there. And he looks at me and he was absolutely deadpan. And he wasn't like, you know, just saying, he looked at me and he goes, Mark, if I had missed that, I think I would have shot myself. And
he was not trying to be funny.
Oh, no, he wasn't.
Yes.
He wasn't trying to be. There was no ego.
Yeah.
There was no like bragging. It was an absolute dead certainty in a belief that if I can get there and I can put my racket on this ball, there is no reason that I should miss this shot. And I remember it. We were having steak, and I looked at him. I never said a word, but internally I went, ooh.
That's a different mindset.
This is not me. I was like,
well, listen,
yeah.
First of all, great story. Second of all, not you dropping Binghamton out of nowhere. Like I didn't have that on my bingo card for the Big T podcast. But on that note, I spoke to Paul Anacon, our beloved colleague, and he told me the story about how Pete was one year in Wimbledon not playing well at all. And he was practicing badly and he was playing his first week matches badly. And Paul was getting stressed out and he was like, I have to bring it up in a way, you know, during dinner. And they had still the Sunday off in Wimbledon. So on the Saturday night at dinner, he's like, oh, we have one day to sort of work through it. And he brings it up. And he's like, hey, Pete, how do you feel like your game is at? And what do you think we can do to make it better? And Pete just went, apparently you have to ask Paul. He can tell the story better than me. But apparently Pete went like, oh, I'm not playing well. I'm like at a 20%, but don't worry. Once quarterfinals come along, I will play much better. It will be enough. And he won Wimbledon. And this is like, I would be freaking out if I'm not playing well, heading into quarterfinals, now having to play in the best in the world. And Pete's like, don't worry about it. I got this. Like, Paul, relax, have a glass of wine. I got this from here.
Your bonus is assured. Yeah. Don't worry. You're going to be absolutely fine. You're getting paid this week. The mortgage is going to be fine.
Exactly.
But it is true. I mean, there's just, you know, those moments in their minds. And also just they step onto court and we'll talk about it as commentary. Oh, this person's 23 in the world. They've won 2 titles this year. And the marquee player down the other end's looking down there going, yeah.
I've got this.
I got this. We've had some amazing teenage performances on the women's side, and we've got a quick question for you, Andrea. You can't Google it. You've got to come up with it originally. It has to be an original answer. Jovic, Andrea, Mbuko, who wins more majors by the end of their career?
Oh my God, Victoria Mbuko.
I'm going with Mbuko as well. That's
really,
not yeah, that's not what they want to hear. They want to debate, but I just the way that she plays, the energy. I feel as though if you're going to win majors, particularly in this era, you can't just compete, you have to dominate, and that's what I'm seeing from her. And I see next to the other two, I feel as though her game has just got a little bit more growth in it.
Yeah, I agree, and also just she packs a punch. She packs a punch, and if you look at the players that are up there, whether it's Iga Swiatek or Aryna Sabalenka, but also Coco Gauff. If you think about Coco Gauff, we think of her as a crafty player with a lot of feeling, but Coco packs a punch. When she goes for her first serve, she goes up to 125 miles an hour, you know? So she might hit a few double faults, but she can really go out there. And I do see with Victoria Mbuko, I see with her that she has that ceiling is just a little bit high in terms of power. For both Iva Jovic and Mira Andreeva, they will need really good fitness trainers to get there.
Mbuko,
I think
a better athlete? Mbuko?
I just think she has more, yes, I do think that she has more, I don't think better athlete, I think just a different athlete. I do think she has right now more power than the other two, and the others will need to work in other ways and need to work just, I guess a little bit on muscle mass. And Mira has done so. If you compare her body last year to her body now, she has worked so hard in the gym. And already she won Adelaide. You know, you can see that there is something coming out. She has increased her serve speeds by 12 Ks an hour. I think that's about 9 miles per hour. That's a lot. So, yeah. Picking Victoria Mbuko.
Let's throw it through to the men.
Yes.
Tien, Fonseca, Menchik.
Ooh, that's a tough one because I want to go Fonseca.
I'm going Fonseca.
You are going Fonseca?
Yeah.
I want to go Fonseca. The only thing that worries me with him is that he's already such a huge star in Brazil. There are so many expectations, and for a young person, doesn't matter whether it's a young man or a young woman, for a young person, that's really difficult. And with Iva Jovic, who also has a lot of expectations in the States and another big country, there are so many other American players. We have Coco Gauff and Maddie Keys and Jess Pegula, and then there are the men and Ben Shelton and Lerna Tien. She can divide the pressure on her shoulders with other players. Joao cannot. There is only Joao, unless they find another Brazilian super kid. That's the only reason why I'm a little hesitant. I think Joao has the biggest potential. I'm going to go with Jakub Menchik, though.
Are you? Because?
I just think I love that. So the Jakub Menchik, when he came on tour, he had a 4-0 against top 10 players when he was only 18, 19 years old. He beat Novak in his first big final. There's got to be something special to this kid if he goes out and performs like this against the top 10 players. You are going for
I've had enough of you now.
Why?
Why? Because you got someone more.
Yes! I didn't. You see, I talk so much that I missed.
Like always, I know.
Yes, exactly. So nice to see you.
Angie, so great to see you.
Nice to see
well
you.
done in the dubs. You got a win, didn't you?
Yes.
You're still winning. Coming to Australia
Come
and you're still winning.
Teamwork.
That's good.
Teamwork.
Absolutely. It is the social, viral, meme, whatever you want to say at the moment, 2016. Let's
Yes.
go back 10 years. Take us back. How does it feel to come back to Australia, having won here in 2016?
No, I mean, it's amazing to being back here 10 years later, winning 2016 the trophy. I think everything changed since then, you know. I was match point down in the first round, and 2 weeks
Izaki
later,
Doi.
yes, and 2 weeks later I hold the trophy. It's just crazy. And beating Serena in the final, played my best tennis, and you know, the time is flying so fast. Now we are 10 years later, 2026 now, and I'm still here.
You still look the same like 2016. No, you do.
Yes.
But take us back to that final. You said you played your best tennis,
Yes.
and it was one of the best matches I watched in general. I didn't think Serena played badly
No.
at all. She was playing really well. When you woke up that morning, what were your thoughts in that moment? Were you nervous? Were you excited? What was going through your head?
You know, actually, I knew that I have to play my best tennis.
Yeah.
Of course, I was the underdog. Serena was the favorite. Everyone was talking about Serena, and I knew that I doesn't want to play just a good match, you know, playing a good match and, you know, having fun out there, of course. But I was really ready to go out there and to win the match, because you don't know how many finals you will play in your career, and this was my first one. And I wanted to take my chance and to win it. And that was actually my mind. When I woke up, I knew, okay, I go for it. Doesn't matter what's happened. And I mean, I love the crowd here in Australia, and they get through the 2 weeks with me, like from the first round. Then I won against Azarenka in the quarters, which I never beat before, and I won against her here.
That was your best. I mean, the Serena match was amazing,
Yes.
but just from first
Yes.
point to last, the
Yes.
Azarenka match was
and
the best tennis.
and I remember the crowd. You know, they really pushed me to win the match, and also in the final, I really hear the crowd, and they pushed me through it. So it was just a perfect night for me.
Take me back to the final set against Serena. You had a couple of massive kind of games in there. There was one 19-shot rally that I went back and looked at today. Hit a couple of big drop shots. You were
Yes.
up twice. You served for the match.
Yes.
What did you think after you had served for the match and you hadn't got it done?
You know, I was so nervous. You cannot imagine when I was serving. And I mean, everyone knows my serve was not the best, you know. So I was actually really happy when it was 5-4 in the third set and she was serving. Can you imagine? Serena was serving and I was happy because I know, okay, I have to get the return back and just fighting for every point. And yeah, when she missed the volley, I was just, I don't know, everything came in my mind. Yeah. You know, winning your first Grand Slam, especially here in Australia, which I love to be. I spent my birthdays here 20 times in a row, I feel. And yeah, it was always a place where I feel home.
When did you really, truly believe? I know I've known you since we were 12 years old. I know that you always believed
That's
you can win
unfortunate for you, Angie.
Yeah, sorry
I think
about
but Petko believes sometimes more than me that I can play better, you know.
Because I always felt it in practice. I knew how good she was, and I was in the top 10 before you, and I played all the best ones in the world already. Yeah. So I knew that you were better than them, and I just couldn't believe that you didn't see it. But I will say, I know that you always wanted to win a slam, and you deep down believed that you can, but I wondered in this 2 weeks, when was the moment where you truly believed, oh, I can win this one? Not I can win one day, but I can win this one.
I think after the Azarenka match. After the quarterfinals where I reached the semis, and then the semis was, I really played well as well. I won against Konta in two sets, and then I reached the final. And starting after the Azarenka match, I knew, okay, this is my time.
Nice.
Yeah.
Wimbledon 2018, you beat Serena again. Pliskova, obviously same year.
Yes. Ostapenko, don't forget Ostapenko.
Yes.
You became world number one. How did that feel? I mean, obviously, there must be different to winning a major, suddenly becoming world number one. How did that feel? Best player on the planet.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. And then ending the year as the number one player, that was actually even more special for me, because I came the number one player after winning US Open, and I was so stressed during my US Open, you cannot imagine, because like after every single match, the press are asking me, okay, one more match and then you get the number one spot, and I was so stressed. But I did both in one time. I won my second Grand Slam at the US Open and reached the number one spot, and that feels so good, because I won the Grand Slam and I get the number one spot. Sometimes you just play good, but the other players are losing the points, and then you get the number one spot. So it's a little bit different feeling. And
you really took it.
I took it by myself, and I was really proud, and I had so much confidence that year, 2016, that it's just crazy. And I won the silver medal as well that year. So and I reached the final at the Wimbledon as well, which never one is talking about because you played, but I played it, so unbelievable. Yeah.
Can you talk a little bit about that season 2016? What do you think clicked for you off court, but also on court? Because your tennis was a little bit different in that season, and I felt every match that you played after that, when you played your best, you were channeling Angie 2016. When did you feel it clicking for you, and what do you think was it?
It clicks in the preseason 2015
really
for me.
Interesting.
Because 2015 I lost all my finals. I reached like 4 or 5 finals and I lost it, and I was the pressure was really tough for me to deal with the pressure, and then in the preseason I really, something makes click, because I told my team and me, when I go to Australia, I really just want to enjoy it, and we put so much work in the preseason that I knew I'm fit, I can beat every player.
Nice.
And I reached Brisbane the week before Australian Open, the final. We played the doubles. You can imagine. Yeah, we played the doubles.
Did you carry Andrea as well?
We played.
You must have been so tired by the time. That isn't part. That should be an asterisk.
But we played finals. That was we played the finals.
Angie always had lower back issues, and it still stems back to 2016 carrying me through the doubles.
That's true, and and this somehow sometimes makes click. And then I came here to Australia with a lot of confidence already. I was fit. I knew that I can do it, and in 2 weeks everything has to come together. There are matches where you're not feeling well, but you have to win the matches, and then when you have to play your best tennis, you have to do it. So it is so many things what happened in 2 weeks. So everything came together.
But it's amazing that mindset shift, right? Of you in the off season saying like, I was already playing great tennis. I made so many finals, but this pressure thing is not working for me. I'm going to change it. And that's to have the self-awareness, right? To recognize that. That's another thing.
Why are you looking at me? I definitely didn't have that way. You've still got some recency head-to-heads with some of the players that are currently playing. You were 9-2 against Maddie Keys. I think if we look at all the players that you've played at that are currently in the top 10, I think there's 2 you haven't played. You're like 13 wins, 14 losses. You played Sabalenka in Indian Wells 2019, got the win. Did you think then she was going to be as good as she is now?
Yes, I think she already played really hard tennis, and she was always hitting the ball so strong. The serve, she really improved her serve, which is unbelievable. And now she's really consistently, and I think that makes her change. I mean, she's going out there. She has the biggest confidence I know right now from a player. She knows she's going there to win the match, and she's doing it. So it's just amazing how she's doing it in every single tournament. Yeah, I think yeah, she will be for sure in the next few years on the top, and let's see how many more Grand Slams she will win.
And how would you assess the tennis right now, the modern tennis? Like, what has changed? Maybe what has remained the same? Who are players that you really like right now in the top?
You know, I like Jessica Pegula, how
nice.
she is playing. You know, I think she's also improving her tennis and trying to improving also her mentality, how she get through the wins. Also Sabalenka, of course. I mean, how she gets there, and the mentality, how she improves to be calm on court as well. What like a few years ago was a little bit different. Iga, I think the mentality thing is really important right now in the tennis, but also like the power. The power is really, really huge.
Would you say it has increased?
I think this increased, yeah. Of course, the facility, like the fitness has to be as well, like really high, and you have to be fit, but the power is there. I think the power is more than a few years ago.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah.
Let's jump away from that for a moment. Domestic life, obviously, congratulations. Your son was born last year, middle of last year. Your second child, you got your daughter, Liana. Is it tougher to be a mum than win Grand Slams?
That's a good question, but you have to get used to be a mom, that's for sure. You have to be flexible, you have to be spontaneous, so it's completely...
Hey, like you as a tennis player.
Like I'm a tennis player, yes. But you cannot really compare it, you know. I love to be a mom as well, but now I also enjoy my tennis still, you know. I'm here alone, so it's the first week I am without my kids, which feels a little bit weird, but
But also good, but don't tell anyone. Don't tell the word that it's great.
Well, and you know, Mark, Angie, only 3.5 months after she gave birth to Ben, came to Luxembourg, which is an EXO tournament, but singles, not doubles. You got the win today over Delacroix and Stosa, but this is singles. And Angie in the final beat Alizé Cornet, who had retired, not given birth, retired a month prior, and Angie won in 3 sets.
Oh, it's
and
amazing.
Angie, you know how much I always believed in you and how much I loved your career. I still think this is your biggest triumph.
Can you imagine?
It was incredible.
It was incredible.
She
was
couldn't
impossible.
move. After the semi-final, I saw her in the hotel, and she was not moving, and then she still won. And this is just such an Angie mindset kind of thing. You hated losing, and you were always competing no matter what.
Yeah, this is true. It's actually impossible. It was impossible when I came to Luxembourg, and I was feeling, okay, I just hit a few times, and playing the final, which was already impossible, but this was always in my mind, you know, when I told myself I get it and I put everything in, I put everything in. Doesn't matter if I can move and walk after that, which I couldn't, but yeah, it was crazy.
Hated to win, or rather, hated to lose, sorry, or rather love to win? Which would it be?
I hated to lose.
Hated to lose.
I hated to lose.
Yeah.
And I will tell you one really other funny story. When the pandemic hit, I wonder if it's changed though. When the pandemic hit after 3 months, Angie called me and was like, hey, how is your body doing? I was like, it's fine. Why do you ask me? And she's like, I'm falling apart. And I'm like, Angie, are you not working out? She's like, no, why would I? There is no tournaments. And then when there was a tournament, Angie was the hardest freaking worker I had ever seen, but you always needed a goal.
Yes, always.
To work for it. You can't just go to the gym and do something. You will be like, what am I doing here?
Yes.
Has that changed?
No,
or is that
it's still the same. It's still the same. I go to the gym and I need the plan. If I don't have a plan, I go back.
I find that so funny, right?
Yeah,
Yes.
I don't have any goals. I'm just winging it with you somehow.
Come on, Mark.
We're gonna have a bit of.
Me hanging.
Oh, sorry, I didn't see you say that. You don't often give me a high five. We're gonna move on a little bit, something a bit more fun. Oh well, fun and kind of semi-serious actually as we go through. We're gonna go on a good on ya, which is the thumbs up.
Okay.
All right, or a dodgy, which is thumbs down.
Okay.
Okay. I guess, because we need to keep this kind of like, got to give you a third option here. If you're unsure about which way, we're going to have to go for the middle here.
Okay.
Walking on as a fashion show, e.g. Naomi's walkout. Thumbs up, thumbs down.
For me, thumbs up.
For
thumbs
me too.
up. Yeah, I agree. I thought it was great. It was completely different, and tennis needs that.
And no one was expecting that. And I think that was the most important thing, you know. Everyone was looking like this, and no one was like shocked actually.
Yeah, and I'm always for tennis trying to cross over into pop culture. Like, it's so, I don't know if stupid is the right word, but it's so stupid how much I care about Yannick Sinner being the brand ambassador for Gucci, Sabalenka now being with Gucci, Alcaraz being with Louis Vuitton. It's not about them having a Louis Vuitton bag or Lorenzo Musetti having a Bottega Veneta coat. It's not about that. It's about these brands, these luxury premium brands, choosing tennis. That's the thing for me. And I do think that if pop culture can be interested in our sport, that is the best sport in the world, I think tennis gains and tennis grows from it. And that's why it makes me so excited. And that's why she gets a big thumbs up.
Good on you, Naomi. Good on you. There's always going to be a subculture that wants to complain because that's the world that we live in.
Always.
Melting in Melbourne. Does the heat rule work for you, Angie? Do you like the heat rule? Do you like the fact that
I love it. I love the heat.
No, Angie loves the heat.
Yeah, you love the heat, so you don't like the rule where the players...
No, I think it's good. I think
You do think that's good?
I think it's for the players. It's good. You know,
Yeah.
I think because like on one point it's getting hot. I mean, I love it and I love to play in the heat. But I think for the players it's good to have the heat rule.
Yeah, heat rule, yes. I know you are against it.
Yeah.
The one
But why?
red-haired
Why?
man, because he thinks we are all soft and we need to fight through it.
Yeah,
We
no,
need
I
to
don't
fight
think you're
through it.
soft, by the way. I think she's soft. I don't think you're soft. But I do think that, the tennis players that are pushing through, that have done the extra work, that have maybe gone from, a cold environment to a hot environment, to go and work, to go and push themselves for the conditions that we kind of get, that I do think, not that we shouldn't have a heat rule. I think it's always easier. It gets binary. It's like you either like it or you don't know. I do think we need a heat rule. And I know it was scientifically introduced, but I think it's just a little low. I think that humidity, when it sits around 20, just doesn't sap you in the same way as just dry heat does. And I would just like somebody to relook at the science behind it, because I think for some of it, and you're in a classic case, Angie, you're down the stretch in 3-all in the third and you've been busting it and you've had a goal because I want to go and claim that trophy. I want you to have that benefit because you've gone the extra mile. This is the survival of the fittest.
I will give you this. I do think it's a little bit unfair. Now I haven't thought about this properly, but now I'm thinking about it, because if you take somebody
This is only
like
a 2-hour show.
I know, but if you take somebody like Jack Draper and Yannick Sinner, nobody in the world would say that they are not the best athletes, some of the best athletes in the world. But Jack Draper is just prone to cramping, and Yannick Sinner is just very, very pale, grew up on a mountain. So, he can be...
Andy Murray was from Scotland and moved to Miami. Why?
Because of the heat, you think?
To get
or
used to
because
it.
Scotland is really shite.
You're done. Just close your DM, close every single social media app you have, because you're just about to get trolled out of sight.
I love Scotland, so I've been there many times. I have no fear.
It is great. All right, so we're going to go yes on the heat rule, but maybe we need to look into the science behind it. Last one. This is a massive no for me. Politics impresses. Asking about politics to the tennis players.
No, that's true.
So bad. And you know what it makes me so angry about it is these players, all they do is train, eat, sleep, and play video games. Why are you asking them to solve problems that educated people who are expert at this cannot solve either? Why? What is this basketballer going to change when
Andrea's getting loud? Everyone hears her now.
This drives me freaking insane. Like, what do you expect these players to say and solve when all they do is play video games? Grow up.
Keep rolling. I love it.
Grow up.
Keep rolling.
Grow up.
Yeah, that's a big no for all of us in here. There's a big separation. You can't ask these players to solve the world problems. Angie, I got a quick question for a bit of trivia. You were match point down against Misaki Doi in the opening round. Do you remember how you saved it?
I remember. Do you?
Yeah, I think I did the serve wide.
Correct. And she framed her forehand.
And she makes a mistake. I remember that because I was so shaking. I knew I have just to put the ball, and then she made the mistake. I remember that.
And my last question to you is, when you picked up a tennis racket for the first time, it went into your left hand, rather than the fact that, of course, you're a right-hander. Did you at that stage, A, know kind of what that was going to do for your career, and B, when you look back 10 years after your Aussie Open triumph here, did you ever seriously dream that you were going to achieve all the amazing things that you did?
So first of all, I just took the racket in my left hand without thinking ahead what's happened, but it was a good choice, I guess.
Definitely.
And, you know, when I'm looking back, it was always my dream. You know, when I was a kid, I was always dreaming to winning Grand Slams, to reaching the trophies up there. But, you know, you believe, but if you believe, you have to get through. You need your motivation, your goals. And I always believed it. I didn't know how many Grand Slam I will win one day, but I always believed that I can do it. And at the end, there are 3, a silver medal and the #1 trophy, which has a good spot at home.
Nice. And Angie, one thing that, I mean, you had so many good things in your game. You had the angles, you had the feel, you had so many good things. But my thing with you was always you were the best competitor I had ever seen. No matter how bad you were feeling, you always fought. No matter how much you were down. I remember against Sloane Steven, what was it, 5-1?
Yeah.
Set and 5-1,
Yes.
and you turned it around. Was that something that you always had, even as a child, that you were very competitive, or was that something that you learned through playing on tour for so long?
You know, it was always, that
Always
was
there.
me. It's like my character. Even if we played cards when I was a kid, I hated to lose, and I was always trying to do something to win, doesn't matter what. And I remember also at school when I came back and I had a good thing, I was always trying to doing it better and better. So it's a part of me, and
That's
it's still
nature.
there. It's still there. I don't know if it's good for my kids, but it's still there.
We're about to find. We'll get you back on the big T and see how that goes. Angie, it's so awesome to see you. In fact, I think the last time I saw you was 2019 at Hopman Cup on the dance floor on New Year's.
Yes.
Yeah, you can probably remember some of my dad moves. It's been awesome to see you. Good luck with everything.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for coming, Angie. This was really amazing.
It was fun to see Angie. Do you stay in touch with her? Because not often that competitors kind of stay friends.
Well, Angie and I actually have remained friends. We see each other more than we have seen each other when we were still playing, just because, you know, the tennis schedule gets crazy. She plays at morning, I play at night. And now she doesn't live so far away from me, so we see each other all the time. And we are having dinner tonight,
Ooh.
date time.
That'll be nice. Right, we're going to wrap things up. We've got fan mail time. We've got Adele
Yes.
from LA. She is asking, after the Australian Open, Andrea, how do you and the players, obviously you're not a player anymore, but you are in the Legends. I suppose we could almost give you that.
I'm a Legends competitor.
Able to adapt to jet lag and the time zones when you go to the next tournament. Do you have any jet lag time zone adjustment tips?
So I have the perfect tip for that. This question was almost made for me. I discovered an app that was suggested to me by, this is going to sound completely crazy, but it's the truth. It was one of these dinners in New York where you meet people and you don't know who they are, and later you find out they're a really big deal. So I was talking to the Minister of Digital, all things digital from Taiwan.
Wow.
And she told me that, or they told me that there is this app out there, and it's called Time Shifter, and you put in your flight details and everything, and it gives you a plan, and you can put in whether you drink caffeine or not, whether you take melatonin or not. So you put in all your details, and it gives you a plan for the first 4 to 5 days, depending on how big the jet lag is, and what to do, when to see light, when to use coffee, when to stop using coffee or caffeine, whatever it is, when to go to sleep, when to dim the light. And I've done it now for Australia for the past 2 years, and the jet lag was really manageable.
Really? And so
It's still there. It's not like it gets completely rid of it, but it's much more manageable than when I don't do it. I think the sunlight is the biggest thing, because it's oftentimes difficult when I go into the winter, because it says like, see sunlight for the next 2 hours. It's like, girl, it's minus 25 degrees outside. Like, if you can find some sunlight, I'll be glad to go see it. But
strong email to the app developer. This doesn't work.
here in Australia, I was very strict in following it, and I had great nights of sleep, and it was really manageable.
Yeah, I think one of the more important things as well is to push through sometimes till the evening.
Yes.
Sometimes people get in the morning, think it's a good idea to have a nap, and then that kind of carries through. But yeah, each time,
Wait,
that's great.
that was a great question,
Yeah.
but I have one for you too. Wait,
Is it as good?
It's actually really good, yes. And it's from Jojo from Dallas, Texas. And they are asking, we always hear you as a commentator talking about hitting patterns and setting up shots, Mark. Down the tee, out wide, etc. That's something that you like to talk about very much. Is there ever a time in a match when players just hit the ball as hard as they possibly can over the net without any directional intent? Kind of like us recreational players. Jojo from Dallas.
Yeah, Jojo, good question. I think the answer is yes. It generally follows frustration and anger when they hit without any kind of intent, any sort of thought process in terms of direction. But there's no question that in the middle of a match where you're getting beaten badly, there is a kind of wisdom to trying to hit the ball as hard as you can, because even if you can hit it as hard as you can take away time. You generally aim to a bigger target. You generally aim to get more racket speed because you're trying to throw your arm at the ball, which can create more spin, which means you're not necessarily losing entire control. But in general, that is a last resort. That isn't your go-to play, even on the big returns that we see. Even on the big turns.
Camilla Georgie would like to have a word.
And again, I would argue there is a strategic brilliance to the way that Camilla Georgie, because she doesn't even know what she's going to hit. So therefore, how the hell did the person down the other end of the court know what's coming at her?
Yeah, I mean, point taken, Mark. Point taken. Absolutely. I do think, and sometimes I think you hear us talking on the broadcast. You sometimes hear us saying, "Well, that was a forehand of rage," and sometimes a forehand of rage can make all the difference.
It certainly can. If you do have more fan questions, you can email us at thebigt@tennischannel.com. Andrea, as ever, it's an absolute pleasure to spend time with you.